conversation. We always start with a 15-minute consult where we just make sure that I learn a little bit about you, you learn some about me, and then we schedule some time to be intentional about your wellness journey. During the time, it's about education and empowerment. You are your own best doctor from within. So I'm literally someone who is just intentional in the space and drawing questions out of you to get you further on your wellness journey. Sessions are typically starting at $80, but if you mention Kwanzaa 2020, we're going to go ahead and take 20% off. It's about getting you well so that we can be well, right? Kujichagulia and Ujima, collective responsibility. So grateful for the opportunity to support you in your wellness journey. If you're interested, go to my website, spiritoverfleshllc.com. There's a button that says Let's Connect. Fill out the form and I'll get right back to you. Again, that's spiritoverfleshllc.com. I look forward to supporting you in your wellness journey and healing through words.
Are you heading out of town or have a special occasion? What about birthdays, anniversaries, or reunions? Get the best deals and inexpensive rental car rates, midsize sedans, compact cars, and more. We have a variety of fleet vehicles to accommodate any and all of your rental car needs. Make a reservation today at your local budget rental car on Hamilton Road in Whitehall. Call 614-863-7500.
Happy Kwanzaa. I'm Carla, and my sister Karen and I own Two Natural Sisters. We've been in business for 5 years, and we sell a line of natural bath, body, and candle products. Let's take a look. Follow us on social media, Facebook and Instagram, at Two Natural Sisters. All items that are in stock will be shipped within 24 to 48 hours. As a promotional item, we offer a CD of Black romantic poetry of self-love and coupled love, and 50% discount on Sister Locks, Brother Locks by consultant Sapphire Donetta Mahadi. If you have any questions, you can reach us at customercare@twonaturalsisters.com. Enjoy and happy Kwanzaa.
What's going on? My name is Doe. I am the owner and creator of Madeline Gin. Madeline Gin is best described as a celebratory art experience that exudes hella blackness. Initially, the company was founded to provide a luxurious but affordable art experience, and has since transformed itself into something a bit more spiritual. By walking in what I believe to be my truth, I've been able to get in contact with my ancestors and use my platform and my art, my gift, to tell their untold stories. I do that by using different textures, by utilizing different mediums, colors, and just making things pop out so that it's open for interpretation. I love creating, and I can't wait to be of service to you. Thank you.
I am a genius. My ancestors were geniuses. My ancestors have made me a genius in all that I think, say, and do. I must declare myself a genius. I am a genius. Whenever I am myself, I practice my geniusness and do great things. All my thoughts, choices, and deeds must express my geniusness.
I am a genius. My decisions must always be in the best interest of myself, my family, my people, and my God. Only then will I and everyone I know that I am a genius.
I am a genius. At all times, my geniusness must reflect my culture. My geniusness must serve my God. My geniusness must make me be one in love and harmony with my family. My geniusness must protect my people. Yes, at all times I must demonstrate excellence because I am a genius.
The Purpose Driven Society is a Black-owned, woman-owned business local to Columbus who creates accessories that have intentional messaging. Our specialty are buttons. Buttons can be worn anywhere, on a shirt, on a book bag, on a hat. The beautiful thing about buttons is that you can change them and switch it up depending on your mood or the day. For election day, we wore a very intentional button. On my book bag, my student's book bag, it says, "You are already intelligent, educate yourself." Buttons are empowering with the messages that we create. Again, we do them very intentionally. At the Purpose Driven Society, we're minding our Black-owned business and hope that you'll help mind ours too by doing business with us. Our buttons go for $3 for one, $5 for two, $7 for three. But if you mention Kwanzaa 2020, we're doing a special where you'll get an assortment of buttons for just $20 and we'll ship anywhere in the country. So again, that's the Purpose Driven Society. We can be reached at thepurposedrivensociety@outlook.com. Send us an email and we will put together a very intentional bag of buttons for you and ship it straight to your home. Happy Kwanzaa. Thanks for doing business with us.
Habari gani, Ujima. Habari gani, Ujima. Greetings, this is Doc Ock coming at you live and direct with our part 3 of our new series, A Kwanzaa Minute. The principle for the day is Ujima, and on Ujima, we light our third candle. We've already lit Umoja, the black candle in the middle. We lit Kujichagulia, the first red candle on the left, and now we light the third candle, first green one on the right, which is the candle representing the principle Ujima. Ujima means collective work and responsibility. So tonight, today, our proverb for the day has a proverbial poem that we've just put to paper. And it's called Sharing the Load. The proverb is, sharing the load smooths the road. And that is an African American proverb. I am because we are. We are because we do for each other what others cannot do for us. When we work together, we share the load. Sharing the load smooths the road. We can do what others have done. All we have to do is work together. One hand washes the other. One good turn deserves another. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. When we work together, we share the load. Sharing the load smooths the road. When we all pull together, the strength of one becomes the strength of many. We're the small axe that cuts down the big tree. Working together, we can do it collectively. When we work together, we share the load. Sharing the load smooths the road. Tutao nana, Ujima.
Family, we are up and not exactly live, but live enough. It's gonna get live up in here because I got the educational chameleon here with me. I have been blessed with her presence. Actually, me and Brother Kwame, also known as the Black Yoda, also known as Master Poe, we sitting up in here in the studio, and one of the questions that we wanted to talk with Sister Janice about was actually it's a two-part conversation. We want to talk about education because she was basically born in the teaching field. And we also want to talk about her principle of choice, which just happens to be Ujima. All right, how you doing today?
I'm
Miss
good. How
Riley?
are you? How y'all doing?
We doing good, man. Over this part, we somewhere between the earth and the sky, ain't touching dirt
That's it.
nowhere.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So how's things going in Detroit for you as far as the whole education piece, if you don't mind me asking?
So Detroit, the poorest, most segregated urban center in the entire United States, we're struggling. We were struggling before COVID. COVID adds a layer of struggle that is almost incomprehensible. So we're challenged up here. In addition to today is the first day of winter, I am a child of the sun, so I ain't happy.
But hey, so speaking of that, you do know that there's a major conjunction happening, which has been taken in the past days as a sign of change. So get out there and catch those rays, baby. This is going. That's right. Our time is coming. So now, if you were in charge of education in Detroit or even a nation, because we got big dreams here, Giami Journey. We talking about doing some political things. What would be some of the changes that you would make in the education system?
So it's really interesting that you asked that question as we discuss the third principle of Kwanzaa, because the truth is, one of the reasons why we are failing in a general sense in public education is because we continue to try to educate the kids, period. And the truth is, we have to collectively participate in this process called education. It doesn't just include the kids. It includes their parents. It includes their community. It includes the larger family of sorts. Educating a child alone is just us treading uphill constantly. We have to be working collectively, everyone, in terms of education. So if I were in charge, it would be a process that would be much more collective. It would involve, in any way we could, more than just the students.
So you said we've been kind of, like, in a sense, treading water, climbing up a hill over and over again. How is the way we do education now? In what ways have you seen it affecting us as far as society, affecting us especially in the Black community? You know what I'm saying? Because, like, what are some of the issues that you have seen come out of how we're educating our young people?
So one of the concerns I've had over and over and over again, I started in the education game on the collegiate level. And so I started teaching adults. It was my youthfulness and my love of young people that led me to decide to go the K-12 route. When I went the K-12 route, I then learned the classroom. I wound up working at the district level, and now I'm back in the school. So I've seen education at every single level. And one of the things that's true is that the more deficits students have, the more attention is given to, I think, a lot of all the wrong things. For example, if we've got students that are coming from homes and families where education is not a value, there are all kinds of things that education does or does not do to address that issue that makes things either complicated or easier. Does that make sense? Or
Yes. So so now check this out. How do you feel about this? Because this is one of the things that bother me. I went to a store the other day. I won't say which store I went to. No, but one of my teachers was working at the store.
Mm-hmm.
Do you experience that in Detroit, where the teachers, what teachers are being paid is so minuscule
Yes.
that teachers have to work 2 and 3 jobs?
Yes. So, yes, teachers struggle, as do a lot of people. And up until very recently, Detroit Public Schools actually paid, we were among some of the least paid teachers, not just in this area, but in the nation. There's recently been um, a move that first year teachers will now be paid in excess of $50,000 in our district. There was not a massive raise given to those of us with the most experience, but yeah, it's not unusual for teachers, particularly those that have families, to have multiple jobs in order to survive. That's not unusual at all.
Well, I have a question on that because as we're talking about the collective effort that it's going to take to educate ourselves, I was thinking about the teacher, and a lot of times I find that I tend to do my best teaching even while I'm learning.
Yes.
And, when we do things like, what's it called when, you get to forego your paying your
Your
college, your loans.
Forbearance or something like that.
No. Well, basically, I guess you have to do so much time teaching in the quote unquote inner city.
Yes.
And then you get to forego your loans, right?
Yes. Teach for America.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
And so we sweeten the pot, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But then what it draws is not necessarily in our best interest. Because, even as you just pointed out, okay, so I draw this new group of people in, but those who have the most experience and the most know-how, they're not really seeing that kind of benefit for staying in the field.
Right. And let me add, that's an excellent point. And let me add this. For a very long time, there's been a lot of discussions about programs such as Teach for America and other programs that ask the best and the brightest to come into the teaching profession. If you do this for 3 to 5 years, we'll pay off all of your loans. Here's the rub. Education as an undertaking, if done justly, requires a great deal of personal commitment from those who are involved. If my primary commitment is to pay off my student loans, right, then yes, for a period of time, I'll do what I have to do. But many of those students coming into the program know that after that 3 to 5 year period, they're off to do what they really want to do. And so for me, as a person dedicated to both the profession and the kids, those people they're dangerous to me because of their lack of commitment to the only thing that matters in the process. And so while they may be very bright, when they are teaching a particular lesson, they're not light on their feet to immediately address what's missing. They're not thoughtful about the enterprise that they're engaged in. They're just trying to get to the next pay period to get eventually for their loans to be paid off. And so while I've met some very knowledgeable teachers in programs like that, the vast majority of them are quite honestly not interested in the work. And you can tell in terms of what the output that you get.
Now you talking about this whole commitment piece, man. Listen. All right. So you got people getting in the field, and let me add this to the end of that. You have some people who get in for the 3 to 5 years, and then end up being stuck because the dream that they were trying to pursue, they no longer pursue, and they get hooked on the salary, so they can't leave now because they have invested in life.
Right.
So now we got somebody in the classroom who don't even like our kids,
right,
our children. Forgive me, our children, and they're tearing our kids up.
Yes.
Now, so before we get into this whole Ujima piece, what are some of the methods that you use to bring out the best in your students?
So first and foremost, always most importantly, is it's about relationships. And so in Detroit, of course, many of the students I've had over the years are very distrustful of authority, very distrustful of adults, and rightfully so for a lot of reasons. And so one of the things that I do when I first meet students, first of all, when students have me, my reputation precedes me. And so I have to break down walls, and because I really am seen as tough, as no nonsense, as very, very serious about education. We live in a world today where we give our children way too much authority to choose, for example, who their teachers are. And so when kids come to me, I already know that I need to humanize myself for them to get them to be able to begin to do the work. And so I introduce myself to them. I tell them that I came through the same school district they did. I tell them that I'm a second, third generation teacher, and that no matter what, my mission is that I'm going to, wherever I meet you on the academic scale, I'm going to take you past that by the time our work is done. And so I sort of make a promise to them. The baby. I sort of make a promise to them that I'm going to elevate their thinking.
All right. So what you caught me with something else, because this is something I wanted to hit on anyway. You said that you are a third generation teacher.
Yes. Yes.
So you gonna have to break that shit down for me. Excuse me.
So behind me, that dude in the flowered shirt is my dad. He's been gone 2 years now, but my father was one of the first African American men ever hired to teach instrumental music in Detroit public schools. His father was also a musician who was a teacher. And so my father taught for nearly 42 years in Detroit public schools. He didn't just teach in DPS for nearly 42 years. My dad spent the vast majority of his tenure in Southwest Detroit, which is largely Latino. And so my dad was so committed to not just teaching, but to his students, that he taught himself Spanish so as to be able to more effectively communicate with the parents of all of his students, because it is my father who taught me that education is not just about the children in front of you, it's about their families and their extended communities. And so much of what makes me an effective teacher, much of what makes me the educational chameleon, is because I was literally trained by a master. Literally. The man next to him in the picture is my brother and my mentor, Dr. Carl Taylor, who's a longtime criminologist, sociologist at Michigan State, who is very, very knowledgeable. He is one of the foremost leading academics about criminology, gangs, and gang behavior. And so not only am I very knowledgeable about the academic piece, it's what I bring in terms of my knowledge about human beings, about what people need spiritually and socially. All of that is what comes together to make me an effective teacher. There are a lot of teachers that have pieces of all of that. The most effective are those that come with that full package, who understand curriculum alone is just words on a page. And if you want to move kids, you got to know kids. You don't have to love them or love their behavior, but you got to like working with young people. And if you don't, you belong someplace else. Like, it takes a special kind of person to be able to work with young folks. And all anybody needs to do is think back to when you were a young person. That's all you have to do.
You dropped the bomb in that one,
Wow.
man. You said to move kids, you have to know kids. Listen up, teachers. To move kids,
yes,
you have to know kids. And she broke it down. Her secret sauce is relationships.
That's right.
But hold now. So when you went to school, were you focused on becoming a teacher?
Never.
Yeah.
Like I spent my father. So when I was a little girl and they would ask me as a little girl, what do you want to be? I never said, well, sometimes I said what I wanted to be, but most of the time I would say, I don't know, but I don't want to be a teacher. And that was because my dad just seemed so busy with everybody's life. I had decided as a kid I didn't want to do that. But that's why I think I'm a living manifestation of teachers are born, not necessarily made. Like I fought what my calling was until I finally surrendered to it being my calling.
So when I met you at Ohio State, what was your major?
When you met me at Ohio State in grad school, the major was American history and Black studies, but I didn't envision ever being a teacher. Never. Like I was thinking about, first of all, I was doing what I was doing in large part because I was still trying to find what it was I wanted to do. I just was going to use that for something else, Hatim. I had no plans on being a teacher. None.
Wow. But you was even teaching when we was there. That's
I
crazy.
was. That's right.
That's crazy.
That's right.
She said that anything but a teacher, but that's all she was doing.
Yep.
She was, hey man, this for all those out there, this is the first lady that introduced me to what a sexist was. I didn't even know. And she broke it down and started teaching it. I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I won't use those terms anymore. Sexist? What is sexist? I never heard this before. What the hell? Is it wrong?
I didn't say sexist, Hatim. I think I remember that was one of the first times you heard the term misogynist. And you were like, I'm a what?
I don't hit nobody. I don't hit nobody. I ain't violent.
Right.
That's funny.
Which brings me to something else about the whole education game. You know, I think a lot about the movie where Colonel Jessup yells, "You can't handle the truth." One of the things that students will say about me, whether they just meet me or it's 20 years later, they always say, you think what you want about Miss Riley, but she ain't got nothing for you but the truth. She got this, the truth, no chaser. And telling the truth to students, to teachers, to families, I do that at great risk, except I don't know any other way. I don't know any other way.
But that's because part of education is exposing individuals to the truth.
Yes.
And we have to be in some cases you have to be so politically correct that you can't be honest about a child because sometimes it takes their reality for the parents and the child to snap into it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know, because like I be telling my teachers sometimes because they always start off with, because in the book they tell us we supposed to start off with a positive.
Yes.
Not if it ain't no positives there. I'm like, no.
Nope.
Like what the hell? But you can't as a teacher, you handcuff a teacher if you teach them not to tell the truth.
That's right.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Right. And it becomes extremely difficult to discern the real from the unreal, and not only for yourself because you can't be authentic, but for those who are coming up under you.
Yes.
So how have you, because like I said, being third generation in the game, seeing education, your parents were involved with a lot of the changes that happened in education.
Yes.
And then you came in later in life, going into education. How have you been able to deal with the new method? Because I ain't gonna say maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but it seems like it's a new method of grading now.
So there is, in my humble opinion, this is what I tell my students. I tell them, because I'm teaching at the highest performing high school in my district. So kids come with a great deal of ego power when they're my students. I do teach predominantly 12th grade. The other half of the day, I support and mentor teachers. But I have to tell a lot of my students, listen, you're focused on the grade, I'm focused on the skill. I de-emphasize grading in my classes because I help the students to understand the grade is important to you. Teaching you the skill is important to me.
That's
And
right.
so I
That's right.
de-emphasize grading. When students talk to me about grades, I always push back and make them refocus on what were you supposed to learn and how did you demonstrate to me whether you learned it. And so in my class, grading is a different conversation. In fact, to be quite honest, all this educational policy tells you general in K-12. They tell you things like, in order for the kids to keep working, when you assign work, you have to grade it and get it back to them quickly. I am, without doubt, guilty of not doing that all of the time because, like I've explained, I de-emphasize grading. My students know when they're learning because I make clear what the goal is, and they themselves know whether they're meeting it or not. And so what the conversations we have in my classes about grading are very different from what's happening in a lot of other classes. You got to learn the skill. If you learn the skill, your grade will be wonderful.
Sister Janice, my background's in mathematics, and part of the difficulty
Yes,
that I have with a lot of the children I tutor is they're afraid to make mistakes,
absolutely.
and I try to and how Tim's is one as well. We try to encourage our young to make mistakes
Absolutely.
because at least in other words, I may give a student 3 different ways of solving a problem.
Yes.
I may give them a college way so that they can see the shortcut to know the answer.
Yes.
But then, as you point out, you have to develop the skill
Yes.
in order to be able to arrive at that.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, it's a difficult thing trying to get people to just say, okay, let me have this free moment or free time to make mistakes.
That's right. So I teach my students a statement that by the time they leave me, they know it by heart. I tell them, and it starts off with me saying, repeat after me. Academic success comes on the other side of immense frustration and failure. I make them say that all of the time.
Wait.
I'll say it again.
Is that yours?
I did that. I did that. So
you
let me
got
say
the trademark on that because I'm about to steal that shit.
Let me say it to you this way. Again, working at the highest performing high school in the district, my students come with a whole lot of A's on their transcript. And so they are accustomed to being affirmed by getting A's. One of the first things that happens in my class right around the end of September or October is kids have straight grown people attitude with me because I have obliterated that paradigm. My grade book doesn't look like what they're accustomed to. But because I, from day one, am building relationships, they know I'm being fair. They know it's not personal or emotional. And I say to them, it's okay. I said, people don't come in the world winning. That happens on TV. Academic success, and then they repeat, academic success comes on the other side of immense frustration and failure. And over time, me making them say it over and over again, them being able to watch themselves grow, not necessarily by the grades getting better, but by their success at the skills getting better. By the time we get to the end of the first semester, those kids know that statement and they start sharing it with their friends who are not my students. I've used it year after year after year. And to be quite honest, it was a sentence created out of the frustration of my students. I understood what Kwame just said. I understood that kids who are from communities that are just mired in loss, all they want is a win. And so we can get you to the win, but wins are not achieved every time you try something. You become a winner after you failed a lot. I have a video on YouTube that talks about if you want to teach a child to win, you got to teach him how to lose. Period.
Man, all right. So now
Powerful.
let's go on and encourage. Let's
love
go
this
on and
tape.
encourage. Listen, I told you my sister be bringing the heat. Hold on, she don't be bringing the heat. On the other side, where academic success come on the other side of massive
Immense frustration and failure.
God damn.
Like failure is not the end of the world. We have to condition our students to understand failure is a part of the whole process of walking a path. You're not going to win all the time.
But you know, it ain't the kids we got to go in.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It's those parents, because I be having parents talk about, I had a parent come in like a third quarter of a school year and be like, my baby ain't never had a C.
Yep.
I said, ma'am, your baby is in the kindergarten. What the hell is you talking about?
Exactly.
How are we supposed to have a real conversation here?
Exactly.
When you in an illusion.
Right. So another part of what makes you successful in the classroom, Hatim, is exactly what you're talking about. Listen, I've had parents come to parent-teacher conference, and you can tell when they sit down that they have practiced how they gonna check me in the mirror at home. But then what I do, because I understand that everything that I do is about relationships, I allow that parent, and I'm not just talking about mothers, I'm talking about fathers too. I allow that parent to have that emotional space, and I let them attack me however they're going to attack me. One of the things I do that probably has gotten me in trouble a couple times is I have a faint smile on my face as they're attacking me. And that is for me to not respond in kind. But then when it's time for me to talk, one of the first things that I say is, Mom, Dad, let me be clear. I'm in partnership with you to make your kid smarter. I'm in partnership with you to give your kids skills that they'll be able to use and apply beyond my class. I am not in the business of giving kids good grades just because. You should know if your child gets a good grade from my class, they have worked to earn it. It will make them better long term. The gifts I'm giving your kid transcend the class they're in with me. I'm teaching them real things about real life. By the time I'm done with my little speech in response to their emotional breakdown, parents are putty in my hands because they understand I care about their child and that I'm hard on their child because I want to make them better. And so a lot of parents immediately step back. Like I've had parents say they'll come to attack me. By the time we're done talking, they'll give me permission to bop the kid upside the head anytime I want to. Call me, Miss Riley, if you have any problems. Here's my cell phone, my email. And so you have to build relationships and trust with the parents so that they can be your backup at home. You want parents saying, I know you did Miss Riley's homework. I know, you want that. And so you have to build relationships with the extended family too. You are not in relationship with just that child in that desk. You're in relationship with the entire family.
We need to learn how to teach. So, all right, because even before I get to the last thing, what's next for you when you step down from necessarily, you're always going to be a teacher, but when you step out of the district, because I mean, you doing some heretical talking right here, right now. They're gonna chase you up out of there because it's like you telling the truth. You breaking all the rules. You telling the truth. You're not scared of the parents. You have a certain commitment. You have a fire about you, and the school system don't want nobody like that.
So I do. So let me say this. I've spent my entire career being there for teachers. And so one of the things I'm trying to do right now with intention is I really want my voice to be one that can be heard by people everywhere who are really in this for the long run, who are really in this to make a difference in the life of children, because I've garnered a lot of knowledge and understanding that I think can be shared with other people to give them the same kind of success with young people. And so after this, whatever that means, I just want to have a larger voice, a larger audience to be able to make a bigger difference. Because we got this whole education thing wrong in this nation. It's just wrong. We're those that need the most are actually getting the least.
Mm.
Our expectations and standards for the least among us could not be lower. We're being outperformed by nations all over the universe. And not that I'm not saying that we need to be, if we're the wealthiest nation on earth, it makes no sense to me at all that our educational system is failing so many students unless you consider that some of it's being done by design.
So give the people a little hint of one of the ways that you are expanding your voice.
So I have a podcast called Thoughts from the Teacher. It's available on iTunes and Spreaker and Spotify. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I hang out with Hatim all the time. You got questions, I got answers. All you have to do is reach out. I really love mentoring other teachers, other people who are in the business of trying to make this world a better place for these young people.
Lord have mercy. All right, so now on to Ujima. When I called her, I asked her, I said, I want to interview you. Of course, my sister said yes, because that's what big sisters do for little brothers.
Right. That's right.
So, and I said, which principal would you like to pick? She said Ujima, and she said it because it fit with her idea about education. Can you tell us how Ujima, even though you already did, but go a little bit further in how Ujima fits in with education?
So it's the third principle. 3 isn't that the number of wisdom and harmony?
It can be, but it's also the number of communication.
And communication and creativity and optimism. And so I just see this principle as having a direct connection to education because, again, you can think that when you are teaching a child something, you're just teaching that child. The truth is you're teaching their family, their friends, their siblings, and the larger world. Teachers have more power than I think they oftentimes consider. And the task that we do, we may instruct, for example, those of us that teach K-12, we're instructing these young people, these children in front of us, but everything that they're learning from us seeps into the rest of the world. Everything that we put in them is going to come out of them, just as what happens to them in their homes and families. And so I just think that adults in particular need to be more cognizant of the fact that children are learning all of the time. And so what are you teaching the children that are paying attention to you? Like, all adults are the teachers of children, because children look to imitate. Adults need to be much more serious about what they're putting out, because young people are picking up, imitating, listening, making judgments about right and wrong, good and bad, what is valued and what shouldn't be valued. We have to step our adult game up. These young people that so many adults talk so negatively about are a literal mirror of us.
Right.
All the things that we see that we don't like, we need to, like Michael Jackson said, be that man in the mirror. They're getting it honestly. One of the things I spend a lot of times talking to teachers about, a teacher will come to me and say, have you ever met? And they'll be out of their mind about a kid. And oftentimes my response is, have you ever talked to his mother? And then, you know, there's a lot of pause, because children in general they're not Martians that just behave in some crazy way. There are always explanations that have to do with who they're coming from, what's going on there, etc.
So a true teacher realizes that they're not teaching a student, but they're teaching a collective.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Speak to how
A responsible adult recognizes that when they're interacting with a child, they're also interacting with other adults in that child's life. It's not this singular back and forth. Like, we used to understand how impressionable children were. At some point, we began to forget that our children are children. Just because we put more responsibility on them doesn't make them any more mature. They are still children.
That's right. You know, your father, because he had taught Spanish-speaking children, I can imagine how that impressed upon you, that whole notion of what you teach that child, it goes back home and filters through that family.
Absolutely.
Because I can't, you know, I used to more or less watch over Spanish-speaking children while their parents would be, quote unquote, upstairs learning English as a second language.
Yes.
And I had established a relationship with one of the parents, and it was interesting. I mean, this is kind of funny, but I'll make it quick. I was doing a graduate class in Spanish, and I wanted him to hear it to make sure it flowed correctly, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I forgot I was calling him, and I said, "Hey, is George there?" And he was like, "No," and hung up the phone.
Oh.
And then I thought about it again. I was like, "Oh snap!" Right? This dude ain't gonna talk to nobody in English, right? So I called back and asked for him. Of course, talking to him in Spanish, and now he's there, right?
Yeah.
But again, so that was from my Spanish speaking experiences. I'm sure your father, conveyed that message to you through his experience.
Absolutely.
But also a number of our African children.
Yes.
Particularly, I'm thinking of West Africa.
Yes.
With this one family in particular where literally a 15 to 16-year-old young lady is intelligent as all get out from Senegal. And her mom basically gives all papers to her to handle that business that deals with schooling and stuff.
Right.
And so, yeah, there's just interesting to note how these things, occur, because a lot of us just don't think about that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Man, oh man. So, you got anything else for us?
Who, me?
Yeah, you. It's freestyle time now. We about to flow.
This is the wealth of she's sitting on a wealth of stuff over there.
I just so what else can I add? Let me say this. Okay, so here we go. All of this madness that's happening right now in this nation relative to COVID, like, we're dealing with a pathogen. Like, that's the science of it. But one of the things I cannot turn my head away from is this is also helping those of us who are thinkers to see just how much work we need to do in this nation to assist people with being able to interpret basic facts and information. The ability of all of these millions of people to be intellectually manipulated by absolute nonsense is frightening to me as a person who understands the development of the mind. It is scary to me to see so many adults, families, and communities who will tell you the sky is blue if it's purple. I just see it as a clarion call to all of us interested in education. Like, we can see all around us, we got a lot of work to do.
A whole lot.
As a collective, speaking of our Kwanzaa principle.
Mm-hmm. And the responsibility.
Yes, collectively, we have a lot of work to do. Like, we got a lot of work to do when we have nearly 80 million people talking about a virus is a hoax. A lot of work to do. A lot of work to do.
I often talk about the practical application of, some of the things we know. And because one of my backgrounds, at least, that I tutor statistics, I was thinking about a practical application for a kind of introduction into statistics for our young.
Yes.
And like you said, I mean, when I first heard about the virus and I heard about all the naysayers and this, that, and the other, one of my underlying questions was, okay, one real simple way of getting a gauge on this is go over the past 10 years, see what the average number of deaths is, at a certain point in the year, compare it with, what we've just gone through.
Yes, yes.
That's one way, a quick, fast, dirty way, but, that's one way to do it. And then it becomes a matter of, okay, where are you getting your statistics? And so these are different things that I will be posing to some of our young warriors, to get them to see how trying to discern the real from the unreal,
Yes. Yes.
To get a gauge, because I don't care whether you believe it's COVID or not.
Right.
If our numbers, particularly as it pertains to us as Black people, if we're dying off at the rates that I'm hearing, then I don't care what it is, we need to be highly concerned.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And with a legitimate history of distrust of the medical and scientific community anyway, we have a lot of work to do.
So, all right, 2021, your predictions of 2021, you think it's going to be a better year?
As it relates to what? I'm sorry.
For education.
So
everything,
the thing that's sad.
I'm trying to pull out the Nostradamus in you, baby.
I know. The thing that's sad is, as I get older, unfortunately, I'm losing faith in just in the ability of people to get past their own whatever in the name of humanity. Like, it seems to me I'm seeing less of that in the world. And so 2020 was awful. I'm beyond hopeful and faithful that 2021 will be better. But like I said, when I listen to the voices of Americans, I'm concerned. When I'm listening to what's not being said, because as far as I'm concerned, what Kwame just highlighted, I don't think we've had adequate at all enough discussion about what this virus is doing to communities of color. And the whole notion of public health is something that needs to be discussed by everybody. But like, race is just this thing that precludes advancement in what's supposed to be a progressive nation. So, Hatem, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful it's going to be a better year.
Unfortunately, I don't believe you. You don't sound enthusiastic and shit.
I
don't believe you sound like one of those teachers now trying to explain how my son is an idiot with all these. Listen, I'm hopeful that they said he was in drugs, Craig, but what I'm seeing is, but I'm hopeful that he will be able to make it
You know, Sister Janice, I'll see my wife, you know, she'll be at her office desk in the other room, and I go in there, babe, how you doing? And she'll say something about fine or something like that. I said, could you be a little more convincing?
2021. She started off going down the road like, I'm losing faith. And then she did all that. Then she turned around and say, well, I'm hopeful. Oh,
I gotta have faith. If I don't have faith, what I got? I gotta have faith.
No, but Janice, I hear you. I hear you, Janice, because you were going old school. You know, one of the things when I was younger with my grandmother, and I might have done something I wasn't supposed to somebody, right?
Right.
And she'll say, go say you're sorry. And I'll look at her like, well, I ain't sorry. Said, well, basically, you go and fake it till you make it.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So that's coming from the old school.
You do things because they're right. Period. Yep.
That's right.
And that's hard in America, man. That's hard in America.
It is.
But Tim, I mean, you know how hard it is because we practice self-mastery.
Yep.
Right.
And that is not easy.
Not easy at all. I'll be falling off the damn wagon all the time. I'll be like, and then my people do stuff that just kind of I'll be like, I gotta go. I can't.
You know, we'll talk to the difficulty that part of it is that we assume that the adults should know better. We give children some leeway because we understand that their experiences may not have taught them any better, or they may not have seen some of the stuff we've seen. So we give them that leeway.
Yes.
And because, you know, those of us in this self-mastery plan, because we constantly fall, when we pull on that compassion, it allows us with, you know, Janice, you keep emphasizing, and what I try to constantly stress, and what Tim tries to constantly stress, relationships.
Yes.
Is how you rebuild us.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Amen. That's it.
Relationships.
That's it.
Which is a major factor in Ujima.
Yes.
There is no Ujima.
That's right.
Without a relationship. You can't have a collective without relationships.
That's right.
Relationships require responsibility.
That's right.
You know, Sister Janice, I don't want to beat up on Tim or anything, but you know, he gets these people who come on the line and talk about how Kujichagulia is the most important, or you know, they feel it's number one on the Nguzo Saba list, right?
Hey, man,
I want you to speak to how, if you take away any one of those other principles, how Kujichagulia just falls apart.
Well, I just see Kwanzaa as this collective thing.
Yes.
That if you take away any one of them, it alters what is left behind. But let me say this about my brother Tim. He has always straddled the line of hardcore revolutionary, heart of a dove. The thing about Tim that I love so much is he gives everybody an opportunity to add something to the gumbo. He knows that sometimes what the person is adding is messing it up. Yeah. But he always has the faith that he's got enough other stuff to add to it that it'll counteract that little bit of bad juju.
I never thought about that.
I'm giving you words to what you do, bro.
Right.
I'm giving you words.
Well, you know, it's like grandma, right? When she was, you know, cooking, you know, she tasted, nah, this ain't quite right. let me
but no one could accuse Tim of not presenting all kinds of alternative opinions. No one could say that he is this brother that is only towing one line. I mean, he is towing a single line, but he's interested in voices on all sides, all along the way. He has always enjoyed the challenge of defending his personal beliefs. He's always been that way. And he likes controversy a little bit. So the more anti you are to his belief and opinion, oftentimes the more he wants to engage you, not necessarily to change the other person's mind, but to solidify the length of the argument that he can present to someone else. He wants to be strong and well versed in his belief. And it irritates some, but it's just who he is. He's always been that way.
But that's also part of that self-mastery.
Absolutely.
Because the deeper you go into what your interest is,
yep,
and what you try to defend,
yep,
that's the more aware you become of the other ideas, perspectives around. So yeah.
Janice, you sound extremely good over there. You using your mic right now?
Nope.
Why you using your mic?
Because I didn't even think about. I didn't even.
You do an interview and you ain't got your mic.
I'm talking into the mic on the computer.
I mean,
but she sounds great. Well,
you got to get me together, Hatem. So you got it. You got. I got a mic just like yours too. You got to get me together. Okay. So next time I'll have the mic.
You've been doing the show with the mic, right? You've been doing your show with the mic.
My podcast.
Yes.
Yes, I do. I use the mic. Okay. Yes. But but all that time we spent setting up, how come you didn't ask about my mic then? You trying to embarrass me?
No, I'm looking. I don't see the mic. I'm sitting up here like, come on, man.
I forgot. I forgot. I did. I forgot.
But well, now she's also dropping the moniker, the teacher. She is now the educational chameleon because some of y'all fools out there done ruined it for her. So she's the educational chameleon now. Anybody interested in reaching her can reach out to you at.
I'm on Instagram, Janice Rowley _. I'm on Facebook. Everything is Janice Rowley. You can reach out to Hatem and he can get in touch with me. I'm going to have, I'll be publishing my website real soon. Same name, Janice Rowley. So everything is Janice Rowley.
We're going to be doing the e-course soon?
Absolutely. I'm getting that together, sir. Okay. And Kwame, did you know that Hatem was a slave driver? Did you know that?
Yeah, I've heard it.
And he has no compassion once he has told you what you need to get done in the field. No compassion.
Hold on. This is coming from the woman that kids come up with A's and she just smashed them down. I know you did your paper 2 weeks ago. Pump it down. I will grade it when I grade it.
Yep.
Man.
Yep. Yep.
Experience and stuff talking about I'm a slave driver.
But you are. I'm just saying. You know you are. You're not denying it.
I work hard too, baby.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I got to.
So he feels like he sets the bar and
absolutely.
And we gotta try to climb up that mud.
Absolutely.
One of my elders told me in a very funny situation. We was looking for some nation builders for Simba one time. Somehow we got in a conversation, and he looked at me and we talking. He said, you can't be comparing nation builders to you. I said, well, he said, you can't be comparing nation builders to you because you're different. You know what I'm saying? You don't have a normal life. We need people with a normal. Because at this time I was living in the house with my sons and he knew all the stories. He like, man, you're not normal. So when we're looking for nation builders, we can't. You're not the comparison. We don't need. You know what I'm saying? We can't.
The bar is too high.
Right. It's too high.
So in other words, you were called an anomaly, an outlier.
And in many ways, that's usually what I am wherever I go because it's like I jump at the shit and I jump all the way in. You know what I'm saying? I try to most of the time.
No, you do. You do. You do. You've always been that way too. You do.
So, but my big sister, I love you, and I
Love
want
you
to
too.
thank you for joining us.
Thank
And
you
once
so much for
again,
having me.
oh,
Thank
we're gonna
you.
have you back. We're gonna have
Most
it back. We're gonna have you
definitely,
back.
man.
Good.
Because I want to do something on the effects of Brown versus Board of Education.
And like I
The,
told you before, we can do that, but our school system looks more like Plessy versus Ferguson.
and you're gonna have to break that one down. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You're gonna have to break it. You're
Yeah.
gonna have to break it. So, you know what I'm saying? So, but everybody, I want to thank y'all for joining us on the journey. This is Ujima.
Yes.
During Kwanzaa, and we're gonna be airing this over and over again. So y'all ain't got to worry. I mean, well, catch it when you can, right? But also make sure that you support what is it? Thoughts of the Teacher? Where's it?
Thoughts from the Teacher, the
Thoughts from
podcast.
the
Yes.
Teacher. You ain't gonna change the Thoughts from the Chameleon?
No, it's Thoughts from the Teacher featuring the Educational Chameleon.
Right.
Yes.
So check it out. Those of you that's on Giami Journey, I'll be posting. Y'all can see her post up on my on Giami Journey timeline, as well as every time she drop a show, we're posting it up. It's good information. I'm sharing it with other people in education as well. And it's not just for educators, family.
That's
the information that she gives can help us move our children to where they need to be.
And one more thing, it's the holiday. A lot of parents and a lot of adults are buying a lot of young people gifts. Buy your kid a book and then have them read it. Buy yourself a book and you can read it too. Like, we need to read, people. We need to read.
Does Audibles count?
Yeah, well, so Audibles is listening to words, which for a lot of people is a great start. Our brains need more exercise. And so if you're listening and you're present listening, that's better than nothing at all. But nothing replaces reading like reading. Doesn't have to be hardcore, doesn't have to be academic. It can be light or fun. For teenagers in particular, there's an entire genre of young adult literature that the young people oftentimes get tricked into enjoying. Get your kid a book.
And, I want to speak to what Janice just said in terms of, so for example, I've been blind for 27 years now. And there was a period where I wanted to hear nothing but Black authors. But at that time, Black readers were destitute. And so you would get white authors reading Black novels, and it just does not, it doesn't work. It does not work. So I can truly appreciate what you're saying there, and and how Tim, I've talked to Mama Condi about that as well, because she thought an author, she knew the author was Black, but the reader, was white. And I had to explain to her, I was like, no, I said, you just do not get the same flavor. And after I told her that, when she was listening, she was like, you're right. It's just not the same. So yeah. And then more importantly is to be able to see the words, and you're able to, quote unquote, tune it in according to the frequency that you're going to take it in, and not through somebody else's.
Yes, right. Right.
You just gave me an idea.
See,
right. Oh, listen, there's a whole bunch of Black books that are about to hit the public domain. And one of the things that we're going to start seeing is, like, Amazon is buying up a lot of these books, or he's taking these rights, and they're starting to read these books online for people so that they can listen. I'm saying, why can't we do the same? We got mics, you know what I'm saying? We got young people that need to practice reading anyway.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, that's just a thought. Somebody out there, feel free, just go and make sure
So he get ready to crack that whip.
Yep. He just had an idea live.
Hey.
And now watch, give it about a month. He gonna have a whole platform full of people doing just what he
Read
just
books.
suggested.
Hey, listen,
Yep.
read books.
Yep.
Read books. And sending money to some of those families that ain't getting the money from those authors, because
That's
I'm
right.
quite sure some of those families are not getting any of the residuals. Because I was on Amazon the other day and I saw Destruction of Black Civilization on Amazon. About $10. Read it to you, blah, blah, blah. But then the question is
Diop's family getting anything? No.
Right. They ain't no.
Right.
So, but all right, family, I got to get up, and I love both of y'all.
Thank you. Love y'all too.
Before you go, Janice, give us that quote one more time.
Academic success comes on the other side of immense frustration and failure. Children need to learn that. Adults need to learn that. Winning is a result of having failed multiple times.
And then, as my comedic group says, Amen Hatepu. Amen is satisfied.
Yes.
Ashe.
Yes.
Give thanks, sis.
Yes, thank you. And thank you to both of you.
Watch the next video. Watch the next video. Watch the next video. No, I'm just joking, family. Family, thank you for joining us. Be sure to catch us on the next video, family. Peace. Watch the next video. Watch.
Greetings. My name is Dr. Kent Robinson. I'm an internal medicine specialist, practice medicine in Cincinnati, Ohio. My particular focus, in addition to internal medicine, is preventive and nutritional treatments for wellness. And I'm happy to be here. I'm honored to be here to talk about wellness as a part of our Kwanzaa celebration, our cultural holiday, whose principles emanate through us and all over the community and the nation and actually the world. The principles of Kwanzaa ring forth in many ways, and as we practice them in our life, we understand that wellness is a part of those principles. We are more appropriate in our unity and our collective work and responsibility and our faith and our purpose if we feel good, if we're well. And so wellness, I think, is a very important aspect of celebrating Kwanzaa. The foods that are always prepared during the feast are always very healthy and nutritional, and I certainly enjoy that aspect of celebrating the principles also. When we talk about wellness, we talk about physical wellness, emotional wellness, mental wellness, and spiritual wellness. And let me be clear that it does not mean that one always feels good. Wellness implies resiliency, that we have the ability, if we're not feeling a certain way, we have that ability to think about what's going on with us and make some adjustments either in our life in one way or another in order to reach a new state of wellness, a new state of being where we're once again feeling good. Now, if we talk physical wellness, we're usually talking about exercise and how we eat. We should stay physically active, aerobic exercising, maybe a half hour a day. If one is not engaged in an activity such as work or other activities that give them that kind of physical activity, I would say at least 30, 45 minutes a day. Walking, biking, elliptical, something that revs up the cardiovascular system. I think that's very, very important. We also want to do some level of strengthening in terms of exercise, and we want to do some stretching and also some flexibility. So make exercise an integral part of one's day as it contributes to our wellness. Eating always gets a lot of attention, and we know partly we are what we eat. And when I say eat, I mean real food, natural food, live food. Lots of fruits and vegetables in their form as they come from nature is very important in our day-to-day food regimen. I think nuts and beans and whole grains are very important. I think a diet should be plant-based. I don't say that one has to be a vegetarian or vegan, but I think that meat or animal products should be limited. And when they are consumed, they should be consumed as naturally as possible. In other words, the chicken, for an example, should be raised in such a way where it's not been tainted with antibiotics and hormones, which changes its whole relationship as far as health is concerned. So making sure that anything that we consume, particularly if it's related to an animal product, is something that has not been changed with additives that will make it potentially harmful to the body. And that goes for plants as far as that's concerned too. We want to do plants, we want to do our fruits and vegetables from an organic source. There's a website that I often refer people to. It's called ewg.org. It's a government website, but it's actually a good website. It talks about fruits and vegetables and other plant-based food that should always be consumed only organic, because if you consume it other than that, you're getting those chemicals. And chemicals in food can affect us adversely. So eating healthy, eating balanced is very, very important for our wellness. Now, another aspect of our wellness, emotions. We should keep ourselves balanced as best we can. Our emotions related to our stress and related to how we handle situations on a day-to-day basis. And certainly there are many stressors, and it's obviously stress we can't avoid. But if we run into situations where we're able to, or we're not able to handle a situation that causes a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, then we want to make sure that we handle that situation, or we do something that helps not be in such a stressful state of existence. One thing I always say is if we get emotional about something, we had to understand what our feelings are about that particular thing. If it's something that we can resolve, then we resolve it to the best of our ability. If in fact we can't resolve it, then sometimes we have to transcend it. We have to always remember that we can control how we respond to any situation outside of us. We can't always control that situation that's outside of us, but we can control our response to it. Why is that important? Stress is important to manage a certain way because stress affects our overall health. It affects our immunity, our immune system. It affects how we handle, how our heart works, how our blood pressure is, how our blood sugar is, how many things are, because stress, if it's uncontrolled and not regulated inside of ourselves, creates a hormonal dynamic inside of us that will oftentimes cause problems. Can cause, again, the blood pressure to be higher, the blood sugar to be higher, can cause stiffness in blood vessels if the stress is continual and not resolved. So we want to make sure we deal with stress a certain way. All emotions are what they are. They're emotions, and there are many emotions. There are 8 basic emotions, and all the rest of the emotions come from them, combinations of them. But and I can't say any one emotion is bad. It's just that we had to handle them a certain way in order to be able to move forward and not let things like anger, for an example, affect us in a bad way. We all may become angry, but we had to recognize how to resolve whatever that issue is that's causing anger, or transcend it if we can't. Mentally is very important to consider how we think, how we process, because being very positive in the midst of most situations is a very, very important thing. We want to make sure that we always have an outcome. We're always thinking through whatever that thing is that we're working with. We always want to make sure that the cup, I always like to say, is never half empty. It's always half full. It's the same level. But the positive side of that is that, we can move forward and do what we need to do, half full cup. Now, being involved in our day-to-day activities in a way that is creative and that allows us to have some level of control over what we do is very, very important. And I'll relate to a specific example as it relates to going to a doctor, for an example. One should always have in mind what they're concerned about, have specific questions, have done some research, and then when the doctor offers advice, make sure that you can ask questions about that advice. Make sure that you are able to think about it, and you and the doctor come up with a plan that certainly includes your thoughts and your ideas as far as what is suggested that you do. Because remember, what you do is what your wellness is, what your process is, what you need to take away and use in order to make sure that you are doing those things that you need to do for you. So make sure that you're involved in any decisions as it relates to your healthcare. Spirituality is very complex, and it's related to how one recognizes that there is a higher essence that creates the universe, has created the universe, and involved in indirectly or directly aspects of our existence. However one looks at that higher power, I think it's important for us to feel like that we're in tune with what that is. So as we move forward, we're able to have that as a point of reference. We're doing what we need to do, and it's in alignment with how we view what that higher essence is. So very, very important, I think, as part of our wellness. Now, as we talk about our physical wellness, again, diet and eating, our emotional wellness, how we handle stresses, our mental wellness, how we think about things and how we move forward in a positive way and are creative about our own personal wellness and our life in general, and our spirituality, our relationship to the higher power. These things are important. These aspects are important because one thing that we're faced now with is this virus called COVID-19. And COVID-19 affects our immune system in an interesting way. This kind of virus, it's a coronavirus. And there are, if you've had a cold, you may have had a coronavirus. But this particular coronavirus has different properties, whether it came from the markets of China or from a lab or wherever it may have come from. It's clear that this virus is very contagious. And it also can wreak havoc in our immune system. And that in and of itself is why I want to say that we really need to focus on having a healthy immune system. And we have a healthy immune system by doing the things that I've been mentioning, eating healthy, live food, fruits and vegetables, like I said, beans, whole grains, minimizing anything that's not coming from the earth the way it should come from the earth. And making sure we stay away, particularly the fast food circuit and the processed foods. Anything that's enriched, like an enriched flour product, I stay away from. I stay away from fast foods in general. I would make sure, again, every day that I drink a lot of water and follow some of the other tenets that I mentioned earlier. The importance of handling stress, the importance of eating right, the importance of being physically active, the importance of having a healthy mindset helps our immunity stay strong and balanced. So if we contract something like COVID, we're able to handle it better. Being healthy, being well, does not mean that one does not have hypertension, one does not have diabetes or even heart disease. It just means that one maximizes or optimizes what they have in terms of controlling those aspects. They keep a normal blood sugar, for an example. They keep a normal blood pressure. They do it as natural as possible. Sometimes medicine may be necessary, but many times one can do a heck of a whole lot, to lessen any medication needed if they're following a healthy lifestyle. Keeping the weight right, is another thing. Relative ideal body weight for an individual is very important. So the immune system is stronger if one is doing those things that are healthy and balanced, and that health and balance has to do with one being able to recognize if they're out of balance. Sleep is important. Getting adequate sleep. That could affect our immune system. So we want to make sure that we're doing those things that are most important for us. Now, as this virus, goes through our community, and it's unfortunate that it is the way it is, and we know that because of systemic racism and because of these things are entrenched in our society, we get these diseases perhaps more often, and we also don't get the coverage, the care sometimes that we may need. There's hesitancy to get or go to a doctor, oftentimes or a hospital, because of past experiences, and sometimes we just don't have a health professional that we can trust and rely on. So it's very, very important for us to take care of ourselves. It's very, very important for us to make sure that if, for example, you contract the coronavirus, if you're short of breath, the big picture, with the virus that suggests that there's some problems. If you're short of breath, that doesn't go away. If your temperature is elevated, 102, 103, and it doesn't go down, or if you're coughing and you can't get rid of it, or if you're feeling so weak that you just can't function, if you're having those kinds of symptoms, you want to seek some coverage. You want to go to the hospital to be evaluated. You don't want to wait too long. If you start feeling those symptoms and you can see you're not going to shake it, you know how it is. If you're feeling something to say, wow, this is different. I ain't felt like this before. You need to go get it checked out. And that would be a very, very important thing. Now, in terms of, not having having disorders like high blood pressure, diabetes, hypertension, doesn't mean that you can't handle the coronavirus. But what we need to do is go back and look at making sure that we manage ourselves well. And unfortunately, again, in this environment, because of our exposures, because of our lack of accessibility to healthcare on multiple levels, we're going to be challenged oftentimes. But I will say, go to the hospital if you're not feeling well and you're thinking symptoms may be related to corona or anything as far as that's concerned. It's very important not to let something go too far. That's why it's very important, even starting young, making sure you're eating healthy, making sure you're exercising, and making sure you're doing those things that are good for you. Back to the COVID virus, vitamin D has been shown to be an important vitamin, and it's also a hormone. There's no tissue in the body that doesn't have receptors for vitamin D on it. Vitamin D stimulates our immune system in a very interesting way and causes our immune system to do things that are positive inside of us. So vitamin D supplement, I would suggest, I think that's very important. The amount you take can vary. I'm going to say 2,000 international units of vitamin D3 daily, I think is important. You can also get it from fortified cereals, for an example. You can get it from seafood. If you eat seafood, the salmon, the herring, the sardines. You can get it from, not too many sources of good vitamin D, the sunlight, but we just don't get as much sunlight as it would be good for us to get. But sunlight is very important too. The bottom line here is that people who have low vitamin D levels tend to have a more severe outcome as it relates to COVID. And so we want to make sure that we have vitamin D levels that are up to snuff. And if you don't know what your level is, take vitamin D. You're not going to get vitamin D toxic because most of us, about 90% of people of color in this country are vitamin D deficient. So that's a very important thing. I've talked about rest, very important, and can't overemphasize how important it is to manage our stress and how important it is to keep a positive attitude and recognize that as we move forward in life, we can do what we need to do to be well and live principles of Kwanzaa throughout the year. My name is Dr. Kent Robinson. I'm a specialist in internal medicine, board certified. I focus on preventive and nutritional aspects of health and wellness in my practice. I can be reached at area code 513-585-9500. I practice in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Greetings. I am Mama Mawusi Ashakir, and I am here to discuss with you this African Liberation Day, how education can be a means and a mode for our survival. Educating our future in the face of crisis. That's the name of and the topic of my discussion today. Very important. As we are now sitting here facing this global crisis, we're in the midst of a very pivotal crossroads. one that offers us the opportunity to take ourselves back. I am Mama Mawusi, I am Ashakir, and I am a cultural custodian. 25 years, I'm a 25-year homeschooler of my own 7 children and 4 grandchildren. I'm the founder and guardian director of 4 nation-building institutions. The Body Temple Institute of Holistic Health and Herbal Studies, for which I train herbalists and naturopathic healers to be able to answer and address emergent situations and health maintenance issues in our own community. The Rising Academy of the Sun, for which I educate children in our community to be able to reach learning levels and to come into adulthood with skills and trades. The Mothership, for which I train birth workers, childbirth educators, doulas, and fertility strategists in order to resolve and literally help to manifest health in women and children. Daughters of the Clay, Rites of Passage, for which I help girls through initiatory rites in their coming into womanhood. I have been working in our African community in Cincinnati, Ohio, since 1985 with various organizations over time. Not only have I worked, but I have also benefited from the conscious community. I'm also grateful for that. The topic and concept of my discussion today is how we can benefit from social collapse, how we can take advantage of social collapse. In this time, we need to organize our time, organize our family, organize our energy, organize our communal resources, and organize our money. In doing that, we'll understand how much money are we putting into a global structure that is collapsing. How much of our communal resources have we turned over to or become comfortable with seeing coming from this collapsing society? How much of our energy has this society consumed over the years? And bring our family in so that we can begin answering those needs for each other. So we can begin answering, finding resources or generating resources or even creating those resources ourselves together in the family. Organizing our time in order to be able to create resources, to build resources, to grow resources, to make the resources ourselves, and then to begin to circulate those resources amongst each other more times before we even consider going outside of our family circle. When we organize our family to contribute to our own freedom, we create a family social system. We develop a plan for sustainability. So I'm addressing how we do this. And I'm also addressing this in the midst of the fact that my family is doing this for itself. So I'm sharing with you what we're doing. So we're developing a plan for sustainability. Like, how can we sustain this even if the system comes back? Even if it comes back up, how can we continue to sustain this anyway? Even if society comes back, how can we sustain family social systems that we create? that we need. For instance, we need a ride, we need vehicles, we need to be able to travel, we need food. So we create a food co-op where we all put in and we get cases of food, and then we can share it together within each other. We need childcare. We need education. So therefore, we begin to, there's that one person in our family who's a childcare provider. So that person can then begin to provide childcare for the family, communal family. That communal family will be you, your children, your grandchildren. It may also be some people who are the very close family relatives. You know, those people whom are may not be of blood circle, but yet of consciousness circle, and they are relatives. So they are related to you. You are all connected. So work and use the talents and skills of each other. Even those people who are not of your bloodline circle, they can even be bridges to where their bloodline circles can also be brought in, and you two as family nation units can then begin working together to provide goods and services with each other. Also, research self-sufficiency methods of food security, food storage, growing food, and seed saving. Also self-defense and home safety during these times of social collapse. Very important for us to understand. Also legal defense, understanding your grounds, your standing in the law, understanding how it affects you when you're being pulled over, or when they're saying forced vaccinations, or when you're going into a place and they're saying that you have to wear a mask, you know, or that someone is not. What is that? What is the law in relation to this social, societal new laws that they're putting into place? Understand what's happening. Also, research health maintenance tips. Pay attention. Well, I think that we are paying so much attention to what the CDC is saying. We're paying so much attention. They got us looking in all of these different directions. But one of the things that is a key concept we need to be looking at is, how do we maintain our health? This all came about as biological strategies, biological warfare, biological concepts that are going on, a viral issue. If such is the case, how can we maintain our health? Organize a family economic system, a system of saving monies, understanding how will we save monies. Also creating a susu together where we can circulate monies, and then creating monies for loaning. So we're saving in preparation for loaning to those family members within family units within your family, to be able to help them to start micro businesses and things like this. Also consider buying properties or real estate. Very, very interesting. So I guess I would say consider investing together, you know, as a family unit, as an organized family unit. One of the things that was pushed as I've been growing in consciousness is organize in the form of get into groups outside of your family, outside of yourself, you know, outside of your community, whatnot, and to organize into these groups of political ideology, of social structure or religious structure. But the first structure that we have to understand how to organize is the self. But the second most prioritized structure is your family. And if we bond our family, then it will make more sense to be more our social structures and our religious structures, our religious organized structures will then stay together better if we understand the value of being in a family structure, especially in the face of crisis. We want to educate our own children, and ultimately, this is what I do. And bringing up the first important points is that without those structures during the time of social collapse, we have to have those structures in place for educating our own. A lot of times that is the issue. with people saying, oh, I can't homeschool my children. It's because key structures are not in place for you to be able to educate your children, you see. But now we're thrown into this position where they won't be opening up school next year, you know. What happens in the event that society doesn't come together to be able to address our needs in this coming school year? If such is the case, we're going to be the ones who are educating our own children. If that's the case, that's fine. I have created this PowerPoint presentation to put you in position to be able to do it. What you want to do is assess your child's intelligence and learning level according to you. Right now, we're working, a lot of people who have used the public school system have accepted and have given over to the public school system in order to tell us their assessment of our children. However, the children have to walk the path that you have established for them. So with that, you need to assess their learning level and their intelligence for walking the path you're getting ready to establish, or that you have already walked for them to follow. Okay, you may use the assessments from the public school system, but you need to use your own intelligence as well, with priority. Begin to collect resources from basic topics such as reading, writing, science, math, things like that. And then also include topics from your life, such as critical thinking skills, self-defense, historical heroes, gardening, herbalism, food production, health maintenance concepts, law, and African languages. As an African-centered educator, that is a big concept and an overarching concept in my life. And so with that, African languages and African historical concepts, as well as African critical thinking, is vitally important to me. So that's why I included it in this lecture. I just wanted to bring forward this thought that is key. Why is it that we cling so hard to the idea of what we've learned in school? That what we've learned in school should be taught, despite the fact that we have since forgotten much of what we've learned in school. You know, very much we find ourselves finding the educational paradigm for which we have been educated in so key. We want it to be so key. We are holding it so tightly, but many people have been utilizing and creating methods and strategies of self-preservation in their life and how they operate, that we've really forgotten what we learned in our elementary, junior high, and high school years, and exchanged it for the self-preservation methods that we're using to survive now. With such being the case, I need you to reestablish what is necessary for the child that you have bared, the child that you are rearing, in order for their survival based upon what you know. Recreate the educational paradigm, because that educational paradigm that we learned in school did not prepare us for what we have to deal with in this world. Really plain and simple. Use this time to inculcate an African foundation based upon self-sufficiency. So, general resources, these are in general resources to pad out your educational outlook, and it is not educational curriculum. They are not necessarily African centered. They are in general, and you'll find these online resources, links and resources, and they will actually help to create drills and things like this for your child. So we have math drills. They have a very extensive worksheet collection on everything from from the foundations of math with addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, fractions, all the way up to geometry and algebra, and I think maybe some calculus, but I'm not sure. Flipped math has geometry, algebra, calculus, and trigonometry, and foundational math. Math is fun, also has foundational math at all learning levels. Language arts, free worksheets on, you'll find free worksheets on all learning levels at greatschools.org. English, grammar, and also and you'll find that on this YouTube channel that I found. This brother is teaching English grammar, and I use it. Reading comprehension, very interesting. Readworks.org. That's a really good one. And then free worksheets. Very important that we have free worksheets. I really wanted to find something that made it very simple and easy for you to fill in where public school has dropped us off or has evicted us. Or it has evicted many people. But also check out languages. This is something that your children can do themselves. Duolingo and Busuu. These places teach various different languages. Even Kiswahili is on Duolingo, and that's something that is really a good place to start. It's very important for us to tap in. It is very important for us to tap in to our children right now and to help them to navigate. It's very important to tap into our children and help them to navigate this transition because of how society has presented itself. It seemed as if it would continue without disruption, and it has disrupted our children's lives, and in some cases it has changed their path of graduation. It has it took away their ability to experience a graduation. It has changed their whole thing. So we have to help them to understand what we have grown to understand, which is that everything must change. Everything comes to a change, and societies do come to a hit a wall, and they do end. And so with that, we have to prepare them for that. We have to prepare them for what is coming, what could possibly be coming. And if in fact they are going to change and not open schools this next school year, we need to be talking to each other to support each other in this change. There are a whole lot of things that are coming up and that are uncertain. When we do not know what they will do, then we need to prepare for what we will do. And we need to make that preparation based upon what the resources, the tools, the talents, the skills, and the ability that we have. We need to draw upon our own strength and our ancestral knowledge in order to move forward. Self-sufficiency was always what was desired for us. And so with that, let's take this opportunity to step forward in that. I am Mama Mawusi Ashakir of the Ashakir Family Nation, and I'm grateful to be included amongst the African Liberation Day speakers. And I'm grateful to have been placed in position by Baba Tunde, and I am, because we are. Many blessings.
Habari gani? Listen, look, sana. Habari gani? Hear me now, listen, hear me now, listen later, listen. Habari gani? Listen, look, sana. Habari gani? Listen, look, sana. Moja kuti chakulia Ujima, Ujama, Nia kuumpa imani, Kwanzaa. Moja kuti chakulia Ujima, Ujama, Nia kuumpa imani, Kwanzaa. Listen, look. Moja unity. Kwanzaa, Moja, Uchicha, Ulia, Ujima, Ujama, Nia, Uumba, Mali, Kwanzaa, listen, look. Do your African dance is your part? Do your African dance is your part? Do your African dance is your part? Genetics, dance your part. Genetics, dance your part. DNA, 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 is your part. Habari gani? Listen, look, listen, look, listen, look, listen, look, listen, look, listen. Habari gani? Hear me now, hear me now, listen later, hear me now, listen later, listen. Habari gani? Listen, look, listen, look, listen, look, listen, look, listen. Habari gani? Listen, look, listen, look, listen. Hey, Moja, Kuchicha, Kulia, Ujima, Ujama, Nia, Uumba, Mali, Kwanzaa, Moja, Kuchicha, Kulia, Ujima, Ujama, Nia, Uumba, Mali, Kwanzaa, listen, look.
Yo, if you didn't know, now you know. Once I got 7 principles, we live by the code. Unite all the sisters and my bros. We got power in our soul, professional. When I put the beat with the flow, I got water on the low. Drip for the cool, winter in the 614. Red, black, and green candles. Lit.
Do your African dance, it's your part. Do your African dance, do your African dance, it's your part. Do your African dance, it's your part. Do your African dance, do your African dance, do your African dance, do your African dance.
Habari gani? Nzuri sana. Habari gani? Nzuri sana. Habari gani? Nzuri sana. Habari gani? Nzuri sana.
Do your African dance, it's your part. Do your African dance, it's your part. Do your African dance, it's your part. Genetics, dance your part. Genetics, dance your part. DNA, 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 is your part.
Habari gani?
Listen, look, listen, look, listen, look,
Nzuri sana.
listen, look, listen, look, listen.
Habari gani?
Hear me now, hear me now, listen later, hear me now, listen later, listen.
Habari gani?
Listen, look, listen, look, listen, look, listen, look, listen, look, listen.
Habari gani?
Listen, look, listen, look,
Nzuri
listen,
sana.
Moja, Kuchicha, Kulia, Ujima, Ujama, Nia, Uumba, Mali, Kwanzaa, Moja, Kuchicha, Kulia, Ujima, Ujama, Nia, Uumba, Mali, Kwanzaa, listen, look. Listen, look, listen, look, listen, look, listen, look. Moja, unity. Listen, look, listen, look, listen, look. Kuchicha, Kulia, self-determination. Listen, look, listen, Ujima. Listen, look, listen, look, listen, look. Ujima, collective work and responsibility. Ujama, cooperative economics. Nia, purpose. Umba, creativity. Imani, faith. Money, faith.
Habari gani? Nzuri sana. 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 Habari gani? Nzuri sana.
It's your part.